Okay, June, page 3. It starts off in a museum. It's the Mobster Museum, Las Vegas. If you want, you can put, I'll just leave it at that. Mobster Museum, Las Vegas. It's a sign inside of a museum here. This is supposed to be a display. A display, where you have like a picture. This is a picture of the new character. His name is the Blue London. This is a display because he's a character in the past. He was the most notorious mobster in Chicago in the 40s. Um, if there's space in here, I wrote a little piece you could put in there. Um, I'm hoping you can somehow squeeze it in there. Even if it's tiny letters that are hard to see, that's fine. Just so maybe somebody could read it if they really tried. And here are all the little mummies crawling all over the display that's on the wall in the museum. Now this is the Must Master, and I want to emphasize in the future, I want him to be about 15 feet tall in comparison to other characters. He's supposed to be a Nephilim, which is like a giant. So you have the words giant right there. So what's happening to the right of him is there's a portal that he's generating. He's not saying anything here. There's a woman in the museum that appears and says, "Sir, can you keep your children off the display?" Which are the little cheesy mummies over here that we know of. So to wrap up that box, up here is the Mobster Museum sign, Mobster Museum, Las Vegas. This is the display where you have a picture of the Blue London, who is the mobster. This is a little Tommy gun that's smoking in his hand. And then you have his little story, which I wrote. You can squeeze in there. Okay, so moving on. In box 2, it just says up here, Chicago 1942. So it doesn't have to be in a box. You can just put that up there like in special letters that shows the time. Remember, this is the box that takes place in the past. It's a black and white box. All this color is black and white. We have the portal over here. I really kind of drew it wrong. Really, I'd want the Must Master to be like really big, maybe even like crouching down to even fit in the room. He's that big, kind of like Mumra from Thundercats. So the portal is, maybe in his background or dissipating or whatever, and he's making a deal with the Blue London here. There's a table. And this is supposed to be not just a Tommy gun, it's supposed to be a special, like, space-aged, kind of like steampunky Tommy gun, because it's supposedly made from not just the man who invented the Tommy gun, but Nikola Tesla, the inventor. So here he's got his dialogue. The dialogue starts up here where he says, I have it written, but he talks about who made the gun. He doesn't want to part with it, but he says, well, I'm going to try to buy it with my gold. And down here is like a little tiny pyramid of gold, and I want to have the cheesy mummies kind of like walking in line and kind of stacking the gold, and some little funny stuff can happen here, but they're kind of stacking a pyramid of gold, and the Mustmaster is pointing down to it like, "Hey, I'm offering you this gold for the gun." And he's like, "Well, no, maybe I'll do a job for you, but I'm not parting with my gun." And let's see what does he say here. He's like, "I'm only doing this for you because I want to time travel, not because I like you." And so this is just telling you that it was 1942, but really that information is going to, Chicago 1942 should go up here. So that's that. And I guess I don't know, I guess they're in some kind of a basement or something like that. Some kind of secret mobster hideout, that kind of thing. Moving over to number 3 here, what we have is this is the scene from the last. This is the scene from the last page. It's let's see. It's supposed to be like what happened in the library. Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do is show that Hunter is putting on. He's like halfway between this costume and halfway between his like Hawaiian shirt. Like he's gonna keep the hat on basically, but maybe show him putting on the costume somehow, like maybe over his clothes or something. So I guess he's in the library still, and he's got maybe one hand free, and he's shooting some of the spikes that are, they're kind of like flexy spikes, but they can like be beamy spikes that branch out into branches. But he's kind of trapping the immortal cat in the corner of the room. And then here at the bottom of the room, you have Clovis Glowfish, the fish man. He's actually a fish news reporter, has made his appearance, and he's doing a little broadcast here. And the person who's shooting him is a shrimp. He's like a shrimp person with a camera. And I was thinking if you can give him like a French look, maybe like a beanie and I wouldn't put a cigarette in his mouth because this is for kids, but make him look French, maybe give him a striped shirt or something like that. And then Clovis Glowfish, he just has a suit, maybe like a Sigmund Freud goatee, and glasses. These are not shades, they're just nerd glasses, and then maybe has a fin on the top of his head. He's got the microphone here. And then to the right of the room, maybe you just see the back of his head. Like, when you did like the back of his head before, the Reverend, in this shot here, you showed the Reverend like the back of his head like that. I could see this happening again, but just put it right here, like he's coming into this room now, and he's like, hey, is this a bad time? So just to reiterate, go back over this. This is still in the library, just from a different angle. Hunter has his, safari hat on, and he's kind of trying to he's got his suit halfway on, his armor halfway on, and he's shooting with one hand some spikes up here to trap the immortal cat. And you can give him an interesting expression. Actually, I want his expression to be looking at these two fish people, because cats eat fish, and he can be like, he's actually commenting about how delicious they look. So maybe his eyes can be popping and looking over here at these people. Okay, so I think you get that. I'm saying here it says, yeah, so he's putting the suit half on. Okay, the final frame is them back in the church. Well, actually, we've never gone to the church yet, but this is the church of Reverend Green. You have some pews over here, church seats, church pews. There's a little walkway here that leads to the cross. This is like stained glass window. You can go to town with a stained glass window, make it look cool. And then they're like right here at the forefront. This is Hunter. He has his hat on still, but this time he has all of his, suit on, his Spike Warrior suit. But I guess he was in a hurry, so he left his hat on. And he's showing his arm, which has been damaged by the cat. It was scratched, and we don't want that to be gory. Just make him scratched up. And then we have this is Reverend Green, and he's kind of putting his hand out over the hand, and there's like little waves going down to heal his hand. And so the Reverend also has, this is the Reverend's box, because he's going to have most of the dialogue. Then we go into Hunter's box, and then the Reverend says some final words here. And then we have some scriptures that we're going to put at the bottom. We won't actually be writing the scriptures this time. Because I don't think they're going to fit. But we'll have the scriptures listed. And I think when we actually do the comic, when we get it bound, we're going to have a page in the back that has all the scriptures so the kids can look them up and see them back there. So that's basically it. If you have any questions, let me know. Sorry if I didn't explain everything perfectly, but I think you've got it. We trust you. So there you have it. I'll send you this video, and I have the dialogue. Now, I know that the dialogue has been a little too long. We'll work on it again, but just see if you can get it in there. See if there's a way you can fit it all in there. And if you can't fit it all in there, then we'll trim it down again. But just think of clever ways, beforehand. I'd like to get all the dialogue in there. Okay, thanks.